Alright, so in addition to personally being skeptical and downright an atheist when it comes to the question of whether God exists, I also don't believe in the many worlds theorem. In physics, the many worlds theorem is, and I would just like to begin with a caveat, I'm not a physicist, I am an educated layman. I've read about it, I know the basic concepts of it, I understand that it far surpasses my expertise, but I'm not uninformed about it, I'm just not an expert. The many worlds theory is a theory to explain basically what it postulates is that there is a universe for every possible state of affairs. And it's a departure from the traditional view that this is the one universe that there is, or perhaps there's another universe or a couple of universes. The many worlds theorem postulates that there's an infinite number of universes. And not all of the possible, not every person who holds many worlds theory to be true means the exact same thing by it. For example, and I'm not exactly sure where physicists pin themselves down, but there's the many worlds theorem that tries to explain where the Big Bang came from by saying that there's a sort of roil of frothing roil of universes that are constantly coming into existence and going out of existence, and that our universe is just one that came into existence from this roil, and there's a different set of physical laws in each universe and so forth. There's another many worlds theory that tries to takes as its starting point the attempt to explain why electrons behave in such a way that they don't seem to have a location until you force them to, and then the question arises as to why they have that location as opposed to another, or that vector or spin, or spin may be a constant in this universe for an electron, but the point is, you observe an electron and it seems to determine itself into a determined point, but before that it's not. That's the many worlds theory, and then the answer to the question of why did it take that space and that vector, that electron, why did it obtain that space and that vector? It did so because there is a universe in which it attained all possible vectors that it could have obtained, and this is just the one where it obtained that vector. So, my first objection to the many worlds theory, and then there's another many worlds theory that postulates every possibility being fulfilled, but there's some sort of gray area and interflow and interchange between them, and I think they all suffer from the same kind of critique to which I'd like to apply to them, which is, I think it's possible that it's true, but until these worlds are falsifiable, we have no reason to believe them. And I think that's on the principle that you don't believe in a God just because it seems to fit certain facts. You believe in something because you can prove it false and you can prove it true, or at the very least you can prove it false. If you can prove it false and you're not doing that, then you have some reason to believe, well, we're failing to prove it false. But if you in principle cannot prove it false, such as God, you can't prove God false. He's, metaphorically speaking, he's hiding under whatever bush you're not looking. If you want to say, well, we need evidence in the archaeological strata for God, and you don't find him there, then you can say, fine, we'll take evidence in the design of the human body, and then you look at the human body, and then, it looks less and less like it's designed, and you go, fine, that's fine, we don't need evidence. That's basically what unfalsifiability is. You can continue to believe something that's unfalsifiable as long as you want, because it can never be disproven. There's not going to ever be any point in history at which it will be proven that God doesn't exist, because you can't prove that something that doesn't exist. You cannot prove that a unicorn doesn't exist. The unicorn can just be wherever you have it looked. It can be on another planet. It can be, and there may very well be unicorns on other planets. Planet Unicorn, hey. I can't believe I just came around Planet Unicorn. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Completely accidental. Alright. In principle, it's unfalsifiable, these other universes. We can't have contact with them. We can't ever go into them because we can't ever relate to them because it's precisely that they're separated from us. They're doing the job. I'm not explaining this well. We can't ever have contact with these alternate universes because they either, number one, have different physical laws than we do, or number two, have different outcomes than we do. So they have a different past. And you can't travel to somewhere with a different past. It's doing the work of determining where the electron is. The difference is, well, I mean, if they find a way to contact these other universes, that's one thing, but they haven't, and in principle it kind of isn't. We aren't able to contact them. Nor do we have any relationship or proof of them. It just seems to be a sort of theory that fits and kind of has some good synergy with the fact. And for a while that was true of God, and it's pretty clear that God is a shrinking notion. I just think that the many worlds theory has a lot of weaknesses to it. The first of which being that it's unfalsifiable. I think that's a good reason to just say forget about it. Once you can falsify something, once you can, in principle, prove or disprove something, then it becomes a noteworthy idea. When you can actually sit down and do a math problem and prove something false or true, that's when it's worthy of noticing. And frankly, I just think that yes, I know that there's incredibly advanced math on the subject that seems to click very well, but I think it's speculative. I think that if you can't find some evidence or contact with these worlds, the idea is less robust, to say the least. And secondly, it's very ornate. Many worlds theory postulates an infinite number of worlds to explain this one world. Occam's razor would have a field day with this. This is a horrible explanation. This is also a God thing, in that the universe is a complicated place, so theists postulate God to explain it. And that's a horrible explanation because God is infinitely more complicated than the universe. He adds complication to the universe.